Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Is my mic unmuted? There it is. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning, everybody. It is Drive Time. Of course, we like to call it your time to get involved in the political discussions out there. Even if it's not political, hey, we got Andrew Ziegman on a Friday. If you want to talk about a movie, you want to talk about whatever.
You muted, Andrew.
Talk about what? What's Sleepy?
Andrew's muted.
What did I say?
He was trying to talk, and he's muted. There he goes.
Okay.
I was just saying Pasta's mic's super quiet.
Is my mic still quiet?
It's pretty quiet.
It's on, so it's got to be. It says sure and everything. Is it still quiet?
I mean, I can hear you, but I have headphones.
Is there something wrong with the sound system, or how's that?
All right. How about chat? Can you hear Pasta?
Yeah.
A little bit.
What's wrong? How about now?
Yeah, I can
That's a
hear
little
you.
better.
I turned it up. If it's a little better, I'll come out and come in.
No, that's like much better. Like I can turn my volume down and it doesn't sound like Josh is yelling at me.
Okay.
We're good.
Guys, I'm on the road. I'm in Peru, so maybe there'll be some technical difficulties here and there. But like I said, it's your time, guys. You can talk about whatever you want. That's for everybody new to the show. I can see there's a bunch of people already in the chat. I do want to start off by apologizing about yesterday. That is completely on me, guys. If we want to get to where we want to get to and do what we want to do, right, we want to make sure that we are, I have to do my part. And, last week there was a situation I was moving on Thursday. I saw somebody else in the chat says they're moving into their new place. I think it was Cam Schwari. You moving into your new place? Somebody is. Last week on Thursday, I was moving, so there was no way I can do a show. Friday, I was into my new place, boxes everywhere, craziness. My sister was actually moving that day. We had to do a 2-day move. It was crazy. Me and my sister moved in together with her son. So Friday was a crazy day, but then they turned off the internet that was there while the new internet's coming in. I don't know. Right off the bat, the Fission people, the Fusion, I think it's Fission. It's called Hotwire. It's supposed to be some strong internet, and it is pretty strong. But we are having issues with it, too, right off the bat. It hasn't been a great experience. I got to tell you something. The customer service is so bad everywhere nowadays. They're just hiring anybody, it seems. And I don't want to, knock the people who work for these companies. But anyways, short story long. Last week, Thursday, no show. Friday, not my fault, no show. And yesterday, no show, completely my fault. So I want to take some responsibility. Because I know you guys woke up early to show here, and you guys are doing your part, and I did not do mine. So to my crew, of course, Sleepy, Gob, Fred Ed, all the people out there. Kyle Lanzalone, who got his butt up to be on the show, and it was the second week in a row he hasn't been on the show. Thank you. I screwed up. I won't screw up again. And because, like I said, I do really feel privileged and honored to be able to do this show with you guys so immediately, especially after a powerhouse show on Wednesday where we had over 100 watchers at one time, where Karen Kwiatkowski was having an amazing show. She's an amazing co-host for Wednesdays. I got to do my part. And yesterday, I did not. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Pasta, you got to do a lot of stuff. You're moving all this BS. You deserve a day. Not if we want to be great and do the things we want to do. And that is bring our community to the forefront, because there's so many things to talk about. Andrew Zig, I love you. I'm so glad that you are back today. I wasn't gonna let you down, my friend. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, man? I'm
I'm
still a bit messed up, but I'm making it.
good. Please make it. You know, when
I
I was
will. Don't
sick,
worry.
please, when I
Was
was
it
sick,
Flitzakaka?
Flitzakaka.
It could be. It could be.
I love the Flitzakaka. Um, when I was sick, there was some friends of mine telling me, "Pasta, you gotta make it, man, please, man," because they never saw me like that. I never had an experience like I had last year when I was sick in my bedroom, um, and I also missed drive time the other day on Wednesday night. The time before I was moving and I didn't communicate well enough with anybody, so uh, I got to get my you know what together. By the way, so you all can see, if you don't have your coffee out there, go grab your coffee. This is going to be the first sip. Sleepy loves when we do this, right? Sleep. We get to see the first sip. Ready? Here we go.
You're so excited about
Oh,
the first sip.
where's
What
your
kind of
coffee,
coffee do you
Andrew?
got down in Peru? Is it better than your American coffee?
There's like they have this thing called Oxa, OXXO, and it's a pretty common Latin American like chain store. They're like little 7-Elevens, but they're a little bit more loaded. They're the way that 7-Eleven has like their pizza and all those bites and those hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, all the
That
like
stuff's
microwave
awful.
crap.
What's that?
I said all the microwave crap.
Yes. We used to call it the pail, PALE, like because you go take out your nachos when you had your pump of meat, you had your pump of chemical cheese, and the nachos they put it in a little bag that you'd open up in a tray, and you go eat it on the pail, completely drunk, just eating crappy nachos. Well, Oxo has that kind of food, except they do it a lot better. You know what I mean? Like they use little sandwiches and stuff.
Okay.
So people frequently use those stores. I just got some coffee over there, and they had two brands. They had the basic brand. They had a decent brand, which was a couple soles more. Soles is the dinero here, the money here. There's 3.3 soles to $1. And I just finished off the first bag. I have a couple more days here, so I'm gonna have to get another bag. But it's really good. You
Good.
know, it's really, really good. I love it. I drink it dark and rich and strong. So yeah, I'm having some beautiful morning coffee. And I got my soda water. You get the agua con gas or agua sin gas. This is con gas with gas, but that's how
Okay.
they pronounce it. Agua con gas, agua sin gas, no gas. I'm an agua con gas guy, so that's why I'm filled with gas.
Got that spicy water.
Mm, mm.
I love that shit. I get it.
No, I
So
do
here
the
in
like sparkling juices. I can't do sparkling water though.
I love sparkling water, man. It's great.
I love sparkling water. What's a sparkling juice?
Like carbonated grape juice and carbonated apple cider and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are
Ugh.
good. They come in like here you get them in like actual like wine bottles. They're super nice. It's delicious.
Really?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That stuff is good.
I'd
Yeah.
like to try that. I like bubbles. I like gas.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
For me,
Sparkling
drinking
apple cider is like the best. Like that's like the hit in my house. We buy like 3 bottles at a time.
Martinelli's.
I think so. It's just
Yeah.
whatever the convenience store has.
That's funny because people always
I
ask me
love that
what
stuff.
what type of soda water do I drink, and I'm like the one that's on sale that week because there's always one that's like buy two get one free, and they rotate those usually. So I'm on the rotation. Some weeks I'll be drinking Lacroix, some weeks I'll be drinking the store brand. It depends. It all depends on what they got on sale.
Yep. No, same thing, man.
You're not drinking coffee though?
No, I can't right now. My stomach's too messed up still. If I drink coffee, it's just I just hurt all day.
Yeah.
I got
Man, that's
Well,
water though.
sad.
Got my bottle of water.
I'll drink for you.
I
Salute, my
appreciate
friend.
it. I appreciate it.
Hmm. In Peru, a lot of pisco sours. There's a lot of eggs floating around, but they are good. Um, the food here in Lima, amazing. I did a review. Maybe I'll drop it in of a sandwich shop where I got some beautiful chicharron. So that was fun. I did record something last night at one of the clubs that I went to. Last night I was like, all right. I went into the club, but we had a nice dinner, fun time. I got responsibilities, and those responsibilities out here are like require me to be social and kind of talk to this person, and hang out with that person. At the wedding, I'll have a speech. So
Oh,
and
who's getting married?
I'm not gonna say, but everybody knows. It's
Okay.
someone who's close to me. I'm gonna let her make the decision. You all know her, um, so you can say congratulations to her off camera, but I don't want to get in trouble. But it's somebody
I
close.
get it.
Somebody knows. Y'all know who it is,
Yeah, I know who it
but I'm
is.
not gonna say
I
it because
figured it out.
yes, the other day I got to think. Well, I wasn't really gonna make the announcement, but Channel 5 News over here in Pasta Jardula is letting people know, and I've always gotten in trouble for saying that stuff. So for opening my mouth. So, but
Damn
I am
Italians.
damn Italians, chatty Cathy's. We have the Italians like they're like if you want to hear something, you would go to the old Italian ladies, right? The ones that would hang out in the stoops and out the windowsills. In Yiddish, the word is what's the word for like somebody who talks a lot and says a lot of things? A yenta. They would call that. She's such a yenta. She's spreading news. She doesn't keep her mouth shut. In Italian, that word is gacchiaron, coming from the word. Oh, she's always gacking, gacchiaron. So I get accused of being a gacchiaron. Um,
Chatty little old lady.
I got it, but I am out. I am out here with those responsibilities, but I'm still not making excuses. I should have been there yesterday. I actually thought I was, but I was in no position to go on camera. So I was like, okay, boom, passed out, and I feel bad. So, anyways, but the food. Back to the food. Amazing. A lot of pisco sours. A lot of um, they have this beef. I can't even. I should know this. It's like a filet mignon. They chop it up and they put like peppers. They chunk it up, not chop it up. They chunk it up, and they put it with peppers, tomatoes, a nice little salt, um, and it's awesome. It's one of the signature dishes. Uh, you know, that's right. Italians did invent weddings, by the way, just so everybody knows. So if you do get married, you have a ceremony, a good time. Just remember, once again, my people giving the world great culture. We invented weddings. Um, but yeah, it's I think it's called lomo saltados. I'll get the right pronunciation. I should know these things. I was going to talk about the coffee, but the bag ain't with me because there's another name for the bag too as well. Um, but good food in Peru. It's really awesome. I had some ceviche the other day, and it was just awesome. It felt like they just cut that fish up in the back. Um, so yeah, it's fun times right now. The weather is nice. It's not too hot, not too cold. Um, it's an all out great experience. Plus we're also talking to a lot of people. They actually have an inauguration coming on Monday. And it means so much, guys. I mean, it's all connected. I got to tell you, like the things that the Donald Trump hat, "Make America a Great Again." A lot of people's lomo saltado. Thank you so much, Michael Imperial. Yeah, that's the dish. Um, it's amazing. Um, but what that back to the American "Make America Great Again" hat, and I'll let you jump in, Andrew, because this is kind of interesting. I have a little video from yesterday. So yesterday, after we left the restaurant, um, I had octopus yesterday, pulpo. It was okay, but I
Okay.
had some beautiful, I had some wine with it too as well. Um, and there's a lot of great food in Lima. Lima's probably, I'd say, out of the 8 Latin American. I went to 7 or 8 Latin American countries. I always got to redo a count, but I'd say Lima has the best food. Right? It is just good food. Their ceviche is just so amazing. I can't wait to have more. But they also have sushi. I was here back in April for the first round of the elections, and my friends took me to a sushi restaurant for my birthday. It was probably some of the best sushi I ever had in my life. So
Oh, I
there's a
bet
lot
right
of
off
great
the
food out
ocean.
here. What's
Yeah.
that?
Right
Yeah,
off the ocean too. Yeah, it's got
yeah.
to be amazing.
They say that like after like 12 o'clock, don't order the ceviche because it's freshest in the morning when the boats come in and people catch stuff. But I don't necessarily believe that too as well because I kind of took a peek back into the kitchen and they had whole fish. So that's the way you keep it fresh. Like in other words, you don't take all your fish, fillet it up, and cut it on up, and then use that until you're done. You know, you have to know what you're going to sell or have a guess or pay attention if you do it right. So later that night, it's the night establishment. They took the fish, they filleted it, then they cut it open, they put all the ingredients together, and boom, right in front of me. It was amazing. But I don't want to lose track of what I'm talking about. Make America great again. To me, we had such a push from the uh, Biden administration, right? The executive orders, the funding directly from big tech. Those guys would come. We had YouTube. Jack Dorsey was paying. He was doing whatever the congressional bodies told him. In fact, I remember Jack Dorsey in one of his last congressional hearings. It's like he just had it. Like, I'm done. Like, what am I supposed to do with these people? I'm sitting in front of Congress. One side is pulling one way, one side's pulling the other, and there's no principles involved. When one side gets in, they just go after the other. So when Donald Trump had the hat, "Let's make America great again," I thought he was talking about returning to some of the values that I do necessarily believe in that are supposed to make us great. What makes us great again is always abiding by due process. Like, that's supposed to be, your right to privacy. Everybody talks about China being a security state. Well, the United States is not supposed to have that, right? You're supposed to have your right to privacy. Due process, no matter who it is, who's in our region, who's in our district, whether they be foreigner or a foe or whatever the case may be, everybody's entitled to due process. Well, we've lost those things. And Donald Trump said yesterday, a couple days ago, Sam Tripoli put a tweet up of it. He was kind of praising, and I'll grab the clip, but he was praising data centers. And as I go into the club yesterday, this is Donald Trump. You need to do it, Andrew. It's necessary. It's going to be the greatest data centers in the history of data centers. And if you don't want it, somebody else will have it. And the China, what I'm saying. But as I'm going into the club, and I got a picture of that too, they have a facial recognition TV that's literally labeling the people with their names next to it, and it shows the club people walking around and yellow squares going on people's faces. And this is something, really, to tell you the truth, that, like, whether, and I don't want to brag on Latin America or South America or Central America or any of the Americas other than the United States of America, but, this is something that we were supposed to really have instilled in us. This is something that, Americans, we were supposed to be proud of. It's our right to privacy. It's our due process. And Donald Trump was supposed to bring all that back. That's not really even, people in Latin America, they even kind of go, you hear what people say as an excuse. Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, Andrew, wouldn't be worried about it. They even have that mentality over here, and they do that stuff too as well. So something that the United States has that was really unique to us, we're losing it, guys. It's going. It's gone. The things that are supposed to make this country, great, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, whatever the case may be. And I know there's a lot of people out there, we were never great, we're just an empire, blah, 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 blah. And it's true, when you're behind the gun, you get a lot more freedom, you get a lot more rules. You don't have to worry about things that other people have to worry about in other countries. We sure as hell don't have to worry about, other air forces dropping bombs on our head like they have to in Iran right now. We're behind the gun. But the fact is that the things that we have that are supposed to make us special and great, or unique for that matter, they're being thrown right out the fucking window, Andrew, and it is quite scary. Yesterday, Donald Trump saying, we need data centers. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Yeah, said you can't stop data centers. There's nothing you can do about them, right? And I think that's like patently false, right? So you have the people that invented the Tea Party back in the day during the Ron Paul movement having their own anti-data center rallies across the country. I think it was like 2 days ago, maybe over the weekend. And then coming up, you have Derek Broses, so you can call that kind of like, I guess, the left, but he's not really like left like we would describe it. But so there's like two big national groups that are organizing against data centers broadly in a decentralized fashion. So I think it's one of those, like, we're going to tell you can't, so you don't, but please don't because you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Pasta, I think you're echoing, Andrew.
It might be me.
I mean, I'm hearing you talk back, so I think it's Pasta.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's Andrew. He has that problem all the time.
Sorry.
But I heard him.
I know, but he's done this before. It's echoing. He's got to turn down his shit.
Is that better?
I have a direction.
We got a call coming in.
And by the way, before the caller calls in, the Italians did not invent the Tea Party. We're not taking responsibility for that one. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Oh, say it again.
Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
This is. Oh, sorry.
Good, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
I'm doing good. This is Seydu. So I was the one who called like I think 2 weeks ago and stuff,
Yes.
Mr. CIA.
Yes.
Yeah, how you guys
Say
been
do.
doing?
Good. What city are
Good. How
you in
you
again? Are
been,
you in
buddy?
Michigan?
Oh no, I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
That's right. Same thing.
So what are you guys
Blasphemy.
That
talking
super
about
weed.
today?
I mean, we're starting off with talking about the data centers, the facial recognition, the Constitution. Um, Andrew just made a statement too about it. We talked about the Tea Party a little bit, and it's kind of a little crazy too, Andrew. You talked about the libertarians, like to see them capitulate to the main party, a lot of them to stand behind
Right.
Donald Trump. Wow, a lot of egg in their
Uh,
face.
they they compromised their integrity. I mean, they screw over their own candidate, Oliver, during the 2024 election with
Yeah, Chase
Angelina,
Oliver. Yeah.
because she was MAGA. Yeah, and also like what I was saying, like with I seen a video with James C about the flock cameras. He made a very interesting video saying, what if like destroying the flock cameras is part of their agenda? And it had me thinking. I'm like, that's probably a good one. You know what I mean?
Well, it gives a face to something that people have hated for a while. So it's like the outlet,
Right.
because what you have is like people will fight the flock cameras and they'll be like, okay, we'll get rid of those. And then they'll bring in like Axon or some of these other like license plate reader companies that are literally just doing the same thing, but it's not that like Orwellian black camera. It'll be like a white camera hidden up on the pole. Or cities will have a mix of both, and they'll be like, okay, well, we'll turn these off, but we'll keep these ones going.
Say do.
Oh,
Wh-
most
When you when you
definitely.
when you
Yes.
say
What's up?
when you say when and what were you thinking about when you're saying it was part of their agenda to show it to us, to make us to see how much and how many Americans are willing to consent to build their own digital prison? Is that why you think that's part of their agenda? What did you think when you heard that maybe it's part of their agenda to show us what they're doing? Because I think if there's any truth to that, it's to see how much people will consent to their own digital prisons. But maybe I'm wrong. Did you have a different thought on that?
I mean, because when I look at it, I mean, they absolutely tell us like what they're pushing for. Like they don't make it so obvious, but the science is over there. You know what I mean? Especially like when they passed the recent law saying 2027 that they're gonna start adding trackers to cars. So let's say if they believe that you're sleepy or drunk, they could shut it off. So
They
yeah,
could shut your car off, is what they're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, what if you got
most
some
definitely.
like distressed person trying to get the fuck away from someone and they're like, sorry, you don't get to turn your car on?
Hmm.
yeah.
I mean, because think about it, we know the CIA Mossad could hijack people's car and rule it a suicide. Like that been going on for a long time. I think they did it to somebody though, who exposed the intelligence and they took him out like that. Man, it's crazy. But anything, all my conspiracies came true. I want new ones. I'm so bored. I want new ones. A lot of it came true. A lot of it we've been
Hmm.
telling people for a long time. Like it's all right in our faces. And I tell people you gotta watch The Matrix because they tell you the truth from there about reality, red pill or blue pill. But they took the red pill now and turned it to like the Andrew Tate, the Martin Gaines, like those type of dudes. But the original red pill was like waking up and seeing to their bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
the original woke was too. Like I remember when woke meant you were
Oh
anti-war.
yeah,
Yeah, and then
exactly. But
they
but
take
not.
they take the terms just like they took the term progressive and all of those, and they turn them and pervert them to mean whatever they want to mean, and then tell people that's what the meaning is. That's literally like what Orwell describes as the constant changing of definitions.
Most definitely. I mean, because like remember they're weaponizing the woke stuff. It's under the Biden administration and stuff, which was crazy. And I tell people again, Trump is a symptom. He's not a disease. Even when he's gone, we're still gonna. This is gonna continue to the next administration what he's doing,
Hmm.
and stuff. But don't get me wrong. I mean, this is the most overt administration. I mean, we never had a U.S. president that dared to attack Iran like this because he was stupid enough to do it. Because the, what happened in the Epstein list. Disgusting.
The one thing I will give him is that he has managed
Yeah.
to get half of the U.S. infrastructure in the Middle East destroyed. You know, like I don't think it was
Oh,
intentional. I don't think he wanted it to happen, but just as a
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
yeah,
Why?
like I think
But
it's a
that's
terrible
the reason.
situation, but I
Hold
think
on.
we can find the benefit of, hey, we're now being forced to exit the Middle East, you know?
But
oh
I
yeah.
think that was
I mean,
that was inevitable anyways, and that was all meant the fact that they can go back to the Pentagon and get a 1.5 trillion dollar budget because they have to rebuild all those things. I believe the war was not, there's people who out there like, Sam Tripoli. I found this video right over here of Donald Trump. And say, do I'm going to play it for you in 1 second too as well because you did say something I really want to highlight. Like this is the most dystopian, crazy, over the fucking top administration for quite some time. I would always say that
uh,
George W. Bush's administration was probably the worst from what came out of that.
right.
The Patriot Act, the
Patriot Act.
AUMF.
Mm-hmm.
But this administration, this is over the top,
Next
and
level.
yeah,
Yes.
it is next level. Um, but the reason why they're doing this is not just to fight Israel's wars; it's so the military-industrial complex has a reason to get more money to build new things, to build new bases. These bases will be closed, but then we're going to have a multi-trillion-dollar base being built in Gaza, I heard, or somewhere in Israel, right? So, I mean,
Uh,
they're emptying out the armament so they have excuses to get more money. It's like that episode of Office Space where Michael Scott learns that he has to spend the money in his budget to get more money, right? So there's ways he's got to
correct.
spend it. Donald Trump
The
is
Office,
reeled into
not
doing
Office
exactly
Space.
that. Off the Office, sorry.
Like, I mean, most definitely, because like in the the reason why they let him back in the White House was, he promised them that he was gonna attack Iran, because Mayor Edison gave him $200 from his campaign. The Zionist billionaire and stuff. So basically, that was the connection. And looking at it, it was like, and the whole like assassination attempt was like a way to trick a lot of people, saying that he was against the establishment and stuff, which people found out that he's part of it.
Yeah.
He's been part of it the whole time. But like in 2016, I felt like, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No. You speak, Seydou. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So back in 2016, I feel like if it was Bernie versus Trump, we won't probably have no Trump, because like I think what happened is the DNC stole Bernie primary and gave it to Hillary Clinton, which was, like I said last time, Democrats are paid to lose on purpose. So that's what caused Trump to win in his first term.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, going back to Marianne Allison, I used to say all the time that yes, the election was stolen in 2020, but Trump knew about it. He was all part of it. Like, what I'm saying? This Trump administration, this Trump presidency is 1,000 times worse than his first presidency. But
absolutely.
The setup was there, though. We didn't pay attention to the warning signs that if this guy does get in, forget about it. And this time he's gone full-fledged. And everything he supposedly stands against, right? Like, not only, was he supposed to clear up the internet censorship, right? Our First Amendment is supposed to come back to us. He's going to be the peace president. He's so many videos of him back in the days talking about, Barack Obama is so stupid to start this war and everybody in the Middle East and that war. And yet he comes in and he's crazy. But he's also supposed to be the anti-fourth revolution, the Great Reset guy. Here he is. Listen, the other day, this is a quick 18 seconds of Donald Trump talking about data centers.
Because you have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection. But you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it. Because
I mean,
So-
you can't fight it.
Of course.
That's
If
pretty
everybody
wicked.
wants it, why do they have to give like hundreds of millions of dollars of tax breaks to these people if they want it so bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that's the shit that drives me crazy. Like some maybe okay, maybe not okay, but the fact that they're literally paying these companies with my money to fucking bring them into
I
my
mean,
community that doesn't want them.
exactly.
That's the part that kills me.
I mean, not just that. It is true he ain't starting new wars in his first term, but like what Pasta said, we were not really paying attention to him because we were focused more on like Obama war crimes and with Secretary Hillary Clinton and stuff. Because even though let's be honest here, he still bombed the Middle East though. But yeah, I think the reason why he's a lot worse now is that I believe he's blackmailed by Epstein because Epstein worked for the foreign intelligence. I'm not gonna say it on YouTube. If you know, you know. They're like the worst version of the CIA and stuff. And my opinion, I believe the man is still alive. I believe he did not take himself out. Everybody know that's a foul story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
Epstein didn't Epstein himself. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, he did not Epstein himself, right?
If you watched the portion of the Bannon Epstein interview that came out, that like unedited 2.5 hour interview?
No.
I see. Nah.
So it's worth looking at because so Epstein was super deep in human cloning and human experimentation. Like there was the trafficking and all of the things he was convicted for in 2008. But he used Zorro Ranch and his connections to universities to literally drive cloning forward. And Zorro Ranch was his personal laboratory where he had scientists and people there being like human, literally just like impregnating young girls with himself to try to clone himself and like putting embryos in them and things. And
evil.
So I think that the interview Bannon did wasn't with the first Epstein. I think that was with, and this is just like out there, right? But I think that interview was Bannon testing for Epstein how the software was working or like how the experiment was working. And they were going to send this clone to prison, but that clone had to have, certain memories and things that were then installed into him. Right. So I think that that's a big part of it is that like Epstein, it may have even been an Epstein clone that died in prison. Right. And then we're just fed all of these weird stories because like when you clone someone, who knows if their ears grow back the same way or their fingerprints.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because those are things that are developed when you're in utero.
Because like think about it, like with a lot of celebrities, they do not look the same, especially when you pay. Like for example, Joe Biden. Everybody believes Joe Biden has been cloned, and when you look at him like years before and now, that don't look like the same man to me. Like the way his facial structure changed. So it reminds me. I definitely believe they have technologies like that because Tom McDonald made a song about human cloning. Like about the Gucci Mane. Human cloning, they're saying that his tattoo kind of been off, his facial is not the same. So yeah, I believe it.
Well, we have a caller that always calls in, right? Dave from Melbourne, and he talks about, is it called revelation of the method? That's the thing he says, Josh, right? Where they tell us what exactly they're doing, so it removes and I know you know about this too, Andrew, as well.
Yeah,
it removes the karmatic response that's supposed to happen to you. In other words, if you're tricking people and you're doing illegal things without their knowledge, then that's bad luck for you. But if you let them know what's going on, there's this kind of like, well, we told you about it, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So when Epstein, the stuff was going down, and the ruling class had no choice because the public was demanding answers, and they had no way of avoiding giving us the rest or Epsteining Epstein or putting him in jail and stuff. The New York Times wrote an article that said, plain and simple, that at Zorro Ranch, Jeffrey Epstein practiced transhumanism. Right? Now everybody was so uber focused on what was going on at Epstein Island, and they wanted to know the children, that they really turned their heads away from what was going on in Zorro Ranch. And I think Andrew kind of laid it out earlier in the statement when he said, like, the cloning, the keeping the young girls pregnant, the money and the funding. Supposedly Bill Gates was all up in a lot of the stuff that took place in Zorro Ranch, but nobody asked for firm answers on what was exactly going on at Zorro Ranch. And I'm not trying to downplay using children as currency. It's disgusting in its own, right? But I mean, the fact is, a lot of the things that we are witnessing coming to us today were being practiced
Yes.
at Zorro Ranch. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Whatever the empire does abroad, they're going to bring it back home and use it on us. The chickens will come home to roost. They're just practicing to use it on us. Go ahead, Seydou.
Yes. So what you said is the imperial boomerang. That's why ICE is being weaponized against people and stuff. And the ICE thing is also like for their agenda to increase the surveillance state with the flood cameras, data centers,
Yeah.
all that crazy stuff.
In
And a lot of
Minnesota,
times people
Seydou?
gotta.
Yeah, Seydou, I want to really jump on while you're there. Hold your thought, because I do want to just point out, because I did the work myself.
Yes.
I went to Minnesota to cover those rallies, but the thing that was not being talked about, which Seydou just mentioned, I love when our callers. This is why I say he's CIA. He knows what I'm thinking. He completes my thought. This guy.
Nah.
They used the
Nah.
software that they were using in Gaza to track and trace people. And what people don't understand is you can't just track the bad people, right? The tough on crime. You have to track everybody. You have to get everybody's face,
definitely.
and put it into the machine, so therefore you can differentiate between the good guys and the bad guys. And that's what ICE was doing in Minnesota, which never really got, was never focused on, was never talked about, and that's the shame. Go ahead, Seydou.
I mean,
was
I
gonna say
definitely
real
agree
quick,
with you.
a lot of this technology was originally used during the War on Terror, and that's where it was funded
Oh
and
yes.
developed. And now it's coming back here to haunt us because foreign policy is domestic policy. Whatever we do overseas comes back home. And I think that all these data
Hmm.
centers and all of this biometric security, for whatever it's worth, is something that we invented to go fight terrorists, right? And now we're the terrorists because we don't want it used on us.
Yeah.
Exactly. And those so-called those terrorists too, we trained them in the 80s with Operation Cyclone, to fight against the Soviets. Tim Osman. Everybody know who Tim Osman is. That guy who had ties to. We train him in the death squads too. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's also our foreign policies causes the people to come here. That's where a lot of Americans get wrong. You can't tell people, oh, why they're here. I mean, dumbass. Look, we just been bombing and destabilizing their countries for centuries. Look at Latin America, for example. We've been having multiple coups down there since the Cold War and stuff, toppling their government, funding death squads, regime change, and just destabilizing the whole entire region. So it's going to force them to come to the United States.
Yeah. And way to point out, I mean, as a CIA agent, Seydou was pointing out Operation Cyclone because he knows.
Chill.
Yeah, he was just,
I'm not.
Then he goes right into the thing I talk about most, right? Like about the fact that like our foreign policy is the number one cause of immigration, and I do have this kind of, and I'm just kidding, Seydou, but I mean it is kind of funny because
Nah,
that
you're
is
good.
something I talk about often. It's like one of my number one issues, right? Like I don't understand. As we're all a nation of immigrants. And as an Italian American person
Exactly.
whose family came in here in the early 1900s, we were called WAPs, without paper. And, we were redlined. Sicilians were redlined, we were told that we were no good and never, but we fought through, we acclimated. We helped build the country during the Industrial Revolution, during the modernization of big cities and whatnot. We were the bricklayers. That's where we got the term where they would call Italian zips, right? That's a term now used by Italian Americans a lot against Italians from Italy. They call them zips because they were the masons and they were the bricklayers and they were running around. They were zipping around. They didn't, at the time that what they spoke the Spanish that's being spoke here, it was Italian, but they were zipping around. But people don't ever put together the fact that our foreign policy is what drives the bus and sending all these people on over here. Seydou, take the last 60 seconds, let it on out, and then we're going to get to the next caller. If there's somebody there, we don't know if somebody's waiting. So that somebody told me the other day, like, Pasta, I was on hold for like 10 minutes and you were having a conversation with the caller before. So we want to keep it, you know what I'm saying? But you do such a good job that you keep it up that we'll find a spot for you to come on camera and do a guest host with us one day. That's something that's in the works. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we can bring some of our regular callers on. I'd like to see what Dave has to say, see his face or Snorky. That's if they want to, but please take the last 60 seconds and put a bow on your thoughts. And thank you for calling in on a Friday and being part of this whole movement we got going. Say do, everybody. The CIA agent. Yeah, buddy. The
All right,
friendly.
no problem.
Maybe we'll
Well,
call you the friendly CIA agent or something. There.
a CIA agent from Senegal would be crazy.
Oh my God!
That
Right?
mean that'd be crazy. They could have picked someone else.
It would be like the whole Obama thing,
That would
right?
be
Like everybody talks about Obama being, a CIA agent, his father in Nairobi, and all these things that happen. That he has ties to the CIA, so it's kind of like AOCIA. So they go to the craziest thoughts. So we got Seydu over there running game. Go ahead, Seydu.
facts. Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys a lot. Like, putting out the truth out there, and also understand that we're all in the same fight against the empire and U.S. imperialism. So one more last thing is, so what Trump, like I said, with Trump, he's gonna. So even when he's out, it's gonna. Once the Democrats get back in power, we're gonna have to. I call it woke imperialism, like a diverse group of war criminals.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's woke imperialism is a great name for the left, the Democrats, and they are coming. And unfortunately, and I know you see this up front and you see this up front and right in front of your face when you're in California. I saw that woke imperialism, right? Like there were all these people, and they weeded out those who were really the obstructionists, those who really wanted to push back against the establishment, those who really wanted to change the Democratic Party from the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were the people who cared about, like getting, poor
I'm
people.
listening.
They cared about the class issues and they cared about the foreign policy that their party was pushing. But they took these group of woke people who also used the wokeness against their own clan to throw these people out of the party. And those people, woke imperialism, those woke-minded people, right? And they're using the word woke wrong. Woke used to be a good word. Now it's being used as like,
Exactly.
oh my God,
They
over the
changed
top.
it.
Yeah, they changed it. They changed
Oh,
progressive.
no,
Nancy
blue
Pelosi
haired.
calls herself a progressive, right? So, but they they used all these woke-minded people who cared about all these issues and the way you identify people by their pronouns and all these other things, and throughout the people who were really grounded and understood what the establishment was doing, and those woke people were then put in leadership positions, and they just endorsed all their establishment leaders, like this guy who is now going to be the governor. His name is Xavier Becerra. He was the HHS secretary for Biden, and he decided where all the money from the CARES Act would go, how it would be spent, who got that money, and he did a good job for the pharmaceutical industrial complex, for Big Pharma. He did a great job for them, and now this is his reward. He is now going to be the governor of California. I mean, he's going to run against a Republican, and it just won't happen now, especially in a fixed system. Forget about it. He's now going to be the governor of New York, and he was the one, Xavier Becerra, who was the HHS secretary. I caught him in Chicago, and I asked him about monkeypox, to see, and I had an audio video about him to see if they were going to shut the election down for monkeypox again, to steal it for their goons.
Right.
Complete your thoughts and your sentences. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're fine. So about the woke imperialism, it's basically like a B-52 bomber with a rainbow flag that drops the same bomb. That's all I wanted to throw.
Mm-hmm.
No, everybody sees that meme. So
Yeah,
woke has been hijacked.
Well, I mean, most definitely. It's not what it used to be mean before. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the original Ron Paul movement back in like the 2008, 2012 elections, they were woke. That was like a term they used to describe themselves. And they weren't like, it wasn't about racial justice. It wasn't about like equity over equality. It was about being anti-war, understanding that the government is bad. That was the
Exactly.
original woke. And even
Yeah.
if you try to look up like the history of the word woke, they don't even put that into the AI searches anymore.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's just, and now it has a different type of agenda behind it, though. Like, with Soros, other corrupt billionaires and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Say, dude, we love you. I got your number. I'll give you a call personally. So therefore, if you ever want
Oh,
to send
hell
me a
yeah.
text or something, I'll do that. Sleepy, make sure we got his number written down, and I'll send you a text personally. So that therefore, we have to figure out a way. And one of our co-producers, I like to call her the producer, Gabrielle Freedom. We were talking about finding a way we can bring this community together, maybe a WhatsApp chat. Where we can continue to have the conversation going. I know a lot of people use Discord and all that stuff all the time, but I'm not a Discord user, right?
Telegram.
I mean, there's always Telegram.
Rumble. You guys have Rumble and
It's
Telegram?
good. Telegram's
go.
good for that.
Rumble's Peter Thiel, so
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could do
Oh,
Telegram. I don't know.
man.
I like using WhatsApp. So, but
WhatsApp.
I don't know. It's this is a slippery slope because I have friends out there that said, yeah, they're watching everything you say, and sometimes we'll kind of give into that, right? We'll bend the knee, Andrew, because they're listening to everything we say anyways. We might as well just say shit.
Screw it.
Yeah.
Screw it.
That's why
I
you
don't know.
need to say the most ridiculous shit possible, right? Because if they're listening to everything, it means they got to process it. So that's how you poison that information. Is you look up like crazy shit. There's actually software you can get that will poison your data well. That will just look up and fucking do a whole bunch of random searches on like just ludicrous things.
Catalytic Centaur. I know you
Good
just
idea.
like WhatsApp, but I'm in Latin America and it's used all the time over here. So it's a slippery slope because you need it. But we'll figure this out as we move along, say do. But I'm gonna grab your number. I'm gonna give you a call so you'll be able to call and
Can't
write
wait.
directly to me. The CIA has been following me for so long, so this isn't gonna hurt either way. Say do.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I can't wait. All right, take it easy, guys.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much,
one.
Say do. Appreciate it. The friendly
All right,
woke
you
CIA agent, Say do. Right.
You're definitely right.
Love you, Say do. Appreciate you, brother. I really do, man. And I do when I tell people I love them, I really do mean that. I mean, I'm so privileged to be able to do this too, and especially with Andrew on a Friday. It's so much fun, and I got to figure out a way to pay the bills, of course. But and all the links down below are there to help. But the whole way we do that is we bring in people, as many people as we can, so then we can do our Bernie Sanders for just my average vote for $27. By the way, Trump threatens to carry out the biggest attack yet on Iran, and this guy's talking out loud. And we were talking earlier when Seydu called, and why they do the things they do, right? And it's just to see not only Donald Trump say these crazy fucking things, and you guys can see that Donald Trump got his training for this presidency in the WWE. Like, he knows how to play the heel. It's just so crazy. But the way he openly admits to committing war crimes, bombing bridges and civilian infrastructure, it's disturbing. But what's even more disturbing, Andrew, is the way a lot of people endorse it. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? We're always holding back when, if our enemies know that, we have to be constrained in what we do, then we're not going to be victorious. So at least Donald Trump is doing what other presidents wouldn't do, and he's going the full mile. And that's why he's getting respect,
Yeah, you can't beat Iran. Like, it's just they literally turned their military into, I think it's 18 different province-based militaries, and
Yeah.
each one has
It's like in the no, it's like in the 30s. There's like 32 of them or some shit. Yeah.
Like every state is their own completely autonomous military.
Yes.
And so what I think will happen is they'll bomb whatever the fuck they're going to try to bomb for the next like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to pretend like there's another peace agreement that we're going to like negotiate now that we're in a better position, and Iran's just going to be like, we're not going to stop, because that's literally what they're pushing Iran towards, is to just realize that all of these, like the MOU or whatever, it's just a rearming period. That's all it is. We're shooting off all of our missiles. We can't make them fast enough to supply Ukraine and our aggression here in the Middle East. So they fucking just say, hey, we're going to stop for a minute. We're going to talk about this, ship in a whole bunch of more bombs, and then shoot them off until they're empty.
By the way, on Wednesday we set a record. We had 100 watchers at one time. It got to 108 between Rumble and YouTube. And right now we got 30 people on YouTube, but 36, 37 on Rumble. Rumble's been really coming through, and I want to say thank you to a couple of people over there pulling the strings. Bob of Atlantis, good to see he called in the other day. It was so much fun. Ekon Carr, Enterman Bill is usually there. There he is. He's hanging on out. Airwaves, which is doing double duty. Andrew Zigman's even in the chat. Look at that. But I definitely want to thank you all for making the show, and we're growing this right in front of everybody's eyes right now. We're actually doing the work, and we're going to create a great community where we have a lot of great conversations, and everybody's going to want to get up early to come hang out with all of us. Doesn't matter if you're the hero or the heel, as long as tickets and merch sell and people are paying attention. Katie Kane, and that's true. I always said when it comes to the military-industrial complex, they don't care who wins the war. They don't care who loses the war. All they care, Andrew, is if they have the war. Because if they have the war, then they essentially win because they're going to get their checks. And I know like a lot of people want to blame Israel for everything. It's all about Israel, Israel, Israel. But I pointed out earlier, it's the military-industrial complex that's going to get a lot of contracts like the ones that was it not Raytheon? Was it Raytheon or was it Northrop Grumman? I think it might have been Raytheon. They got a $38 billion no-bid contract to replace all the THAAD systems that were blown up. So there's incentive for them to even get shit blown up, right? Get things removed. Their military bases now, because now they got to get a bigger check.
That ain't going to be a
Building
problem.
shit.
Their weapons are shit, so they keep getting blown up, and they're going to keep getting blown up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the never-ending fucking no-bid contract.
Yeah. And
It's
who
disgusting.
gets that money, though, Josh? Right? When you talk about Raytheon getting a no-bid contract, well, the American stockholders. So it's not just Israel. It's the actual American people. And this is what I'm saying. A lot of these conservatives and friends of mine that I know that make up excuses for shit that's going on, right? They justify what's going on as if this shit is necessary, right? We need to do these things. If we don't do it, China will do it. We need to have this kind of mindset of, taking territory and whatnot. Because we have resources that we have to fight for, and if we don't get it, somebody else will and stuff. These are the things that just drive me crazy, because it's not necessary. We don't have to do it. We shouldn't be justifying this behavior. I said before, when it comes to a lot of the lying and the craziness of the Democrats, they'll say some of the most crazy, outlandish things. Remember that hearing where they had somebody that was representing the Democratic Party's thought process, and they asked, it was a congressional member who asked a woman who was supposed to be an expert, can a man have a baby? And she literally said yes. This is what they're putting forth right now because they believe the bullshit. The Republicans, however, they'll capitulate and give up their principles because they believe it was unnecessary. We have to give up a little of our freedom of speech. We have to give up our privacy because it's necessary to get rid of the criminals on the street, to get rid of the illegal aliens. Yeah, the ICE can go around and piss and shit all over the Constitution. They don't have to worry about the Fourth Amendment, your right to privacy and unlawful searches and seizures. We have to do that because they're serving a better cause. And that's the exact thing that you want to get away from because when one side's in power, they play this game all the time. And the people who go along with it, right, they think that Donald Trump is doing things in the name of God or in the name of safety. It's okay to do these things. It is not. You have to be principled. Freedom of speech and due process is freedom of speech and due process across the board. You can't fucking make little specialty clauses for one group or another. You have to be principled and consistent across the board to do so, Andrew.
Well, that's how divide and conquer works, right?
Yes.
You have one side that takes a little bit from you, and then you're like, oh, no, this is bad. These people are terrible. We're going to go to the other side. And then that side takes a little bit from you, right? It's sad. And I don't think that there's, at this point, an honest political solution. Like, genuinely. I think there was maybe a decade ago, like 2016, if we could have had, like, if Trump would have actually arrested Hillary Clinton and would have, like, made these actual changes back then. But, like, no one even talks about Citizens United anymore. Like, no one talks about the Telecommunications Act. Like, all of these things that were, like, the big issues then is just like, no, it just is what it is now.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, that Make America Great Again was supposed to be a return, I thought, to due process, freedom of speech, ending censorship, but it's not. It's just that their side is censoring the other side. I mean, what did Marco Rubio say the other day? I mean, it's ridiculous that he could say these things and there's no crazy pushback. And not only that, he's endorsed by the right. Yeah, communism is the problem. We have no form of communism in our system whatsoever. I don't know what people are talking about. We do have socialism for the rich. Look at the CARES Act. All the money went up to those big corporations and those big, all these new billionaires were made and stuff like that. So if there's a government handout, it's to the upper class, meaning financial upper class, right? What do you call that? The executive class? What's we call them the predator class, whatever. What's that?
The Epstein class?
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to be more about the bourgeoisie is what the ideologues called them. The managerial class is another good word that Nick Cruz uses all the time. They're the ones who get the handouts, and listen, libertarians have a good argument when they say that, there shouldn't be any taxes whatsoever. Americans should keep as much of their finances as possible. But if we are going to have a tax system, why can't we spend it on the people? Infrastructure, roads, hospitals, education, those kind of things. Instead, we're using it, giving it to Raytheon and all these other countries to bomb brown and black people abroad. And I do say that a lot because that is kind of factored into the whole mentality. The reason why they can manufacture these bombings and go along with it, because they're bombing brown and black people, which a lot of white Christians in this country think it's okay because they think that Muslims are the enemy and whatnot. And I'm not saying everybody, but there is that mindset from a lot of people. I think, though, we have to be careful. And if you guys want to call in, the number's 561-247-2721. 561-247-2721. It's Bernie Sanders blackjack, which they do not have blackjack in the casinos over here. Just a bunch of like these like slot machines, those electronic slot machines. Their casinos aren't casinos, but they get the people in there to do that stuff. There's a difference, and I'm going to show this right over here. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a difference between a safe no vote and a courageous no vote, and the American people deserve to know the difference. Here's how it impacted the NDAA final passage.
We got a call
yesterday. Too. We do have a call. So let me remove this. Then we'll you can restructure our Let's. I wanted to talk about that because I want to ask your opinion, Andrew, because I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm getting very suspicious of her. She's doing a lot of things that a lot of other people, especially like Donald Trump, did to come in, playing the part of the outsider. Again, I left Congress because of this shit, and she might be a Trojan horse coming in to just continue the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset. That's something I want to talk about. However, she does point something out the other day, and we need to kind of put a face forward. Caller, who are you, and where are you calling from?
Well, I'm calling from Melbourne, buddy, and my name is David.
Did you have your coffee?
Yeah, I'm working on it now, man. I'm still like 3/4 waking up. But let's jump right in on the NPG thing because I agree. She's controlled opposition. She did all these conversations about, quote unquote Jewish space lasers, but did she ever mention, the Raytheon weapons, U-beam, laser strike, which were used in the Palisade fires, or the Athena weapon system?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, she got elected on the back of the QAnon movement, essentially. Like, she was a QAnon believer. And that's what gave her such fervent support of Donald Trump to just have full reign of everything. Is she came in as a multimillionaire, like an established multimillionaire that just was reading forum posts about Q and was like, I'm going to run for office. So I think she is controlled opposition in a way, but I think she's just dumb.
She's following in that QAnon pattern, though, by saying the reason why she left office is because Donald Trump won't arrest the criminals in the Epstein file, even putting out there that Donald Trump personally told her that if I have to put this forward, it's going to, embarrass and expose a lot of my friends, and I don't want to do that. And she's acting as the person that's fighting that and is against that. So she's once again establishing herself now as an outsider. And when I look at it, I'm like, this is the perfect person to bring on in to follow up the Donald Trumps and all the other bullshit. I think we're going to get one more Democrat. I think we're going to get Handsome Newsom next, who's just an awful governor, right? He's going to be the next president, I think. We're going to get 8 years of him, and then we're going to have Marjorie Taylor Greene right after that. But go ahead, Dave. I'm listening. I got to put my volume up and refill my coffee. But Yeah, and I have the video of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about explaining what happened in Congress the other day with Section 219 of the NDAA, which is the merger of the Israeli and the American military. So go ahead, Dave. Give us your thoughts, Mr. Coffee Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that we're dealing with, constant controlled opposition. Like you mentioned, the QAnon PSYOP, which is now outed as an Epstein PSYOP. We have the CEO of 4chan meeting with Epstein and their advanced knowledge of his death. We see the pattern, but people are hesitant to apply it to individuals, even when they represent that pattern. But, once again, going back to Jewish space lasers, MTG talks about it, but does she mention that, we have an active ongoing energy crisis while universities like MIT are testing out 46 quadrillion watt lasers? It definitely contributes to the energy crisis there, but, they only tell you half the truth. That's part of the whole revelation of the method thing. They gamble, and unfortunately, they win too much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She was very, a lot of people were playing her in Congress talking about what Israel gets with our tax dollars. Did we lose you? Did we lose him?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It just dropped. So
Dave, we lost you. Call back in. Remember her on the congressional floor? Well, let's play her real quick. I got this clip of her. And then, because we're talking about a little bit about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is she a wolf in sheep's clothing, or is she for real? You know what I'm saying? I think that is the next thing. I remember her saying, well, and it was kind of funny because I was making fun, like, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene talking a little socialism over here. She was pointing out that we pay for Israel's, not only their dome, their Iron Dome, but we also we give them money, and every one of their citizens has Medicare for all. They have universal health care in Israel. They also have free education. It was all paid by us.
All right, we got him back.
We got it, Dave. So, Dave, we lost you. But you got
Yeah, it
back.
dropped me.
It's okay. I'll never drop
sorry
you,
about
my
that.
man. I can't quit you. I'm going to play a little clip from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then we'll let you piggyback on it. Guys, you're watching or listening to Drive Time in the Morning. You can call on in 561-247-2721. I'm here with Sleepy J, our engineer extraordinaire and co-host, but also Andrew Zigman, our Friday co-host, back from a 2-week layoff. He's here operating. We got Dave from Melbourne, also known as Ty G2162 in the chat. Like I said, all the ways to help the show are down below. Anything you give is greatly appreciated. We're building a whole community over here, and I can't thank you enough. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is she a wolf in sheep clothing, or is she a real outsider? I know how many times we've heard the outsider method. She says there's a difference between a safe no vote and a courageous no vote, and the American people deserve to know the difference. Here's how it impacted the NDAA final passage yesterday. And Dave, as soon as we're done playing this, I'm going to let you jump into this. But I do want to say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, or let me know how right I am. There's always truth in some psyops. Like, in other words, they have to gain your trust. So they tell you things that are very true, and people are paying attention. But they'd use that to get you in, suck you on in, and then try to drive the bus in a different direction, mainly the narrative management direction that the ruling class wants you to stay in. This is Drive Time. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hey guys, I just want to follow up on a video that I put out explaining the NDAA vote that happened yesterday, explaining the two votes. Every time a bill passes the House floor, it has to cross two hurdles. The first vote is called the rule vote. The second vote is final passage vote. Now, that's super confusing and it's really stupid, but that's the way they do it. We had 7 total Republicans vote no on final passage to the NDAA because of Section 219 and other issues that they didn't like within the bill. We are thankful to them for voting no. However, that was a safe no vote. And let me explain that. There's 2 ways to vote no. There's the safe no vote, which is voting no on a bill when you know it's going to pass, so you don't have to make anybody mad and you can still vote no because it's going to pass even without your vote. Then there's the courageous no vote, and that is voting no on the rule, the first vote for that bill to cross to final passage. When you vote no on the rule vote, you're voting no against everyone. You're voting no against leadership. You're voting no against the White House. You're taking a hard stand and saying, I am 100% against this bill. I do not want it to pass. There was only one Republican that took the courageous no vote on the rule vote. That was Thomas Massey. He voted no. The other Republicans only voted no on the second vote, the final passage vote, when they knew that the bill was going to pass. Okay? So there's a difference, and that's what you need to understand. There's the two votes. One is the rule vote. The second vote is final passage. And the most courageous vote any member of Congress can take is voting no on the rule. Here's the difference. The rule vote passed 213 to 212. 213 to 212. If those 6 other Republicans had voted no with Thomas Massey on the rule vote, the rule would have failed and the NDAA could not have moved forward to the second final passage vote. However, they voted yes on the rule, allowing it to move forward. And Thomas was the only one that voted no. But when it came to final passage, 6 decided to vote no then because it was safe. You want to know why? Because there were 6 Democrats that were voting yes. That's what you need to know. If you want to put your members of Congress into action, call them and start telling them to vote no on the rule. Don't let them make videos and wash their hands and say, I did everything I could. No, if they really want to stop something, vote no on the rule.
Was that playing okay on the Rumble? Because it looked like it was shoddy.
The video was shoddy, but the audio was good. So
What's going on with that? I mean,
it's probably your internet speed there.
yeah, probably. It was playing good on my end, of course. Last week.
Yeah, your upload speed's probably a little bit low there.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just send you the link to you and let you play it. Sorry, that's what I should be doing anyways. And Dave, I'll let you jump in over here. Anthony Imperial, excuse me, called in last week, talked about this. We talked about Ro Khanna and him kind of acting as if he's being a courageous outsider, pushing back against Israel. But then we showed you areas in which he was showing you plain and simple, and Sleepy was able to piggyback on this, right? When it came to who Ro Khanna is, who that seat he really belongs to. It's a Silicon Valley seat. But a lot of people do this. A lot of the squad do this and whatnot, is that it's a safe no vote, right? They're not really anti-Zionist of sorts. I mean, they go along with a lot of things. And when they can go out there and they can virtue signal and put those votes out there, knowing that it's going to pass, it's a safe no vote. And everybody's okay. They can just use it personally to campaign on. And this is something that's going on. Now, we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene here, Dave, but she's educating people on what they really need to pay attention to. What she said there was so true and so important. And it's what I'm talking about in the Democratic Party, because you have so many of these people coming around, well, this person was opposed to that. That person was... Ro Khanna is really fighting for us. But then you see a video of Ro Khanna and him just talking out his ass, double standards. This is something we need to pay attention to. And here comes Marjorie Taylor Greene educating people. Now, this could be a form of narrative management that so many people already know, and there's already an upcry for it, that they're now taking it. It's that controlled release of information, right? Like, they get to a point, we don't know why. The ruling class allows something to get to the floor, allows it to be talked about. But here is Marjorie Taylor Greene educating people on a safe no vote. So many of the Democrats, the squad included, Ro Khanna, they do this shit to make themselves appear like they're really pushing against something, but they're not. Go ahead, Dave from Melbourne.
So there's 2 kinds of politics. There's active politics, and then there's reactive politics. What we're seeing is reactive politics, information that's being disclosed because they don't really have a choice. Otherwise, they're going to be facing pogroms and angry demands of peaceful transfers of powers from millions of Americans who oppose this war. So yeah. I always look at what they're not telling you. When I'm watching a news story, which I will watch any news story and see what they're telling you versus what they're not mentioning, especially in the common sense range. Just like the whole space lasers versus testing giant weather weapons. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she'll talk about space lasers, but she will not talk about the ongoing weather wars and the ongoing geoengineering. She's pretending that doesn't exist. She hasn't mentioned the sun dimming project. So when you have these agents Like Tucker Carlson, here's another one. He called the sun dimming systems bonkers in 2018, but he hasn't mentioned them since. You know, isn't it continually bonkers for a Christian? You know, why doesn't he bring more attention on these things? Why isn't he calling out the active geoengineering grant? So you always have to look at what they're not telling you to really understand. It's like when you're trying to figure out if someone's cheating on you, like your nose is giving you hints, their reactions are giving you hints, but that accusation can, you know, end a relationship that might not be that bad at the same time. It could just be you. It could just be you being paranoid. So you have to tread really carefully with that stuff.
You know, you
And
mentioned Tucker Carlson. Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the other thing to remember too is that there are no heroes, that some people may take individual heroic actions on things, but that doesn't mean that person isn't otherwise already compromised, right? Like, I think, like, I'll give Marjorie Taylor Greene full credit for going fucking ham and trying to get the Epstein stuff passed, right? Like, that was literally her, like, political suicide out. And I think that does take a lot of courage to do, right? But at the same time, I don't think that that is her as a whole. And so I think always trying to separate the people that are proposed as heroes or as noble for something that they do needs to be separate from the actual person, right? So like someone can do something, like, for all of his credit, I'll say Tucker Carlson was great at reviving the idea of 9/11 truth to the mainstream, like, population. That was something that I feel like we won 10, 15 years ago, but had largely died out, to where the new generation of children is just believing what happens. And Tucker Carlson, you know, released like an 8-part documentary about 9/11 for what it's worth. But at the same time, he's just like, he'll literally sit there and tell you, like, yeah, no, this is like, I don't believe this, I don't believe that. That's like completely like antithetical for the rest of these conversations. You know what I mean? So I think that that's important too, is that there may be times where people who are otherwise compromised take a heroic stance, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but then we'll be quick to shift back in just to start playing the game again.
Dave, do you want to comment on that? Because Tucker Carlson, to me, it's a very interesting, and I think Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker are kind of on that same arc, right? The same thing. And with Tucker Carlson, to me, it's like, how do we listen to people who got so many things wrong before, but they're like, oh, now he's admitting to, and he's creating this space and talking about things that people can't talk about. He's also pushing J.D. Vance, right? That's his guy and whatnot. And, you know, he's perfect to push the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I mean, so the other day, Tucker Carlson did a show with Stephen A. Smith. You know what I'm saying? Why? And why are we, you know, justifying Stephen A. Smith, who talked about basketball for so long, as being one of the next voices supposedly on the left? It seems like to me this is just one giant sheep herding operation again.
That's exactly right. It's just like during COVID when they told us the best places to go were New York, Florida, Texas, and California, and those are the most controversial states now. It's all sheep herding. Tara Preda just made a great point in the Rumble chat about how, you know, look at the space lasers, but don't look at the 3 radar bases that were causing a drought. And exactly. So thanks for
I threw it up there.
But this is the double talk. You know, this is the double speak. It's like when you're fishing, you know, you got to bait the hook. It might not even be real bait, but if you get some blood in the water, then that, you know, bait's a lot likely to be more successful. You want to get the bigger fish out from the reeds and the snags and all that stuff. So sometimes you got to make a little noise, a little pop on the top of the water, you know, whatever it takes to get the fish out of their secure zones and get them to the point where you can get them in the boat. Once you have them in the boat, they don't really have a choice whether or not, you know, what they're going to do, no matter how much they flop around. Sure, 1 or 2 might flop themselves out of the boat, but for the most part, it's a pretty safe way of practicing. And remember, they treat us like goyim. That's somewhere between cattle and eugenics fodder. You know, the ultimate goal is to have us all weakened, genetically vulnerable, and as slabs in labs, just like Epstein was doing. So, and that's another one that I want to focus on too, because I had to go looking. And when I look hard. And it took me a while to find Don Huffines, the guy that bought, Zorro Ranch, and his secret to me program, which takes genetic stem cells, extracts them from people, genetically edits them, and then puts them back into people for gene therapy. This is almost identical to the MK Ultra DMT-19 experiment. But
And he bought Epstein's
if you look
lab
at
to
it,
do it.
yeah. And they
Yeah.
were texting and emailing about eugenics on infants and tricks on how to make babies suck harder. This stuff is vile. But if we're not willing to look at it and see it, then they win. Because the revulsion is a natural reflex. And when you understand how your system is programmed to naturally revolt you against things that are against nature, against creation, or against God, if you're so inclined, then you will know where your ethical stance is. As for these people, I want all these whistleblowers to be true and honest and upstanding, but myself, if I was programmed as an MK Ultra controlled release of information agent, I probably wouldn't even know it myself. So we have to look at it from that jaded lens, from that, double angle side eye, just to make sure people are being genuine all the time. We cannot let our elected leaders become the traitors they've become. It creates a very violent and dangerous situation.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Drive Time. We were just talking, I was mentioning Anthony Imperial, who was in the chat, who called in last week about Ro Khanna with a safe no vote because they know it's going to pass and go along with it. Isn't it funny how, Ro Khanna's rhetoric has changed completely now that the Republicans have full control of Congress and stuff? Like, a lot of this stuff wasn't going on and taking place. Like, the defunding of Israel was not taking place from the squad or anybody else when they had a full control of the Congress. And at that time, they blamed Mama Bear and the Democrats, the establishment Democrats. But, that's when they could have been fully vocal. This was what Forced to Vote was about. And this is what we understood. This is where me and Andrew, and a couple of our other friends got in the street. Were you there, Josh, with us? I think, was Josh with us the first time or no? I don't think so.
I think he was there in spirit. He was definitely doing the
he's
one.
always
No, the only time I ever got to march with y'all was in LA.
So we went out to D.C., and, Fiorella really was a big part of speaking at the first one, which was called Forced to Vote. And that's where a bunch of Democrats were like, okay, AOC, you campaigned on Medicare for All. You're supposed to be the outsiders fighting the establishment. Right now, put them on blast. Say that you're not going to give a vote for her to be the Speaker of the House again unless she puts Medicare for All on the floor for a vote, right? And supposedly it never happened. It never came to fruition. But we also had the Assange event at the British Embassy. And then we also had the Stop the Steal, which turned into be January 6th. The greatest attack on democracy since Pearl Harbor. Dun, dun, dun. This is, here it is, Forced to Vote, right? Like, when the Democrats had full control of the Congress, why wasn't AOC in the squad going, we want to completely defund Israel right now. They're genocidal. They're crazy. This is the things that exposed themselves. Rashida Tlaib was still doing her fuck Hamas thing. Like, I don't support Hamas. It's like, you're a liar then. You're bullshit. And I've said before that I want to wear I love a Hamas t-shirt, right? I made the joke, but I want to explain who exactly Hamas is. If you're really for the Palestinians and their fight, you're for Hamas. Those are the only ones willing to step up. There's other resistant groups, but they're one of the main resistant groups that are standing up and fighting for the Palestinian. Also, too, what happened on October 6th? Is it October 7th? Fuck, I always get the dates.
7th.
October 7th, okay, was not only just justified, but it was legal. And that's our friend Alex Strenger, who's been doing Mondays with us, would argue and say, like, because the marketing was, oh my God, what they did was terrible and stuff. But there's a video of Jeremy Scahill asking Ro Khanna, like, are you okay with Hamas standing up and attacking military bases? Not only was it justified, it was legal. It was legal according to international law that an oppressed, a force that is allowed to take up armed resistance against their occupiers and makes it completely legal. they were able to do that. Ro Khanna couldn't even go along and say that stuff. So when they had the Democrats in full strength, who had control, they should have been putting this stuff in Congress, having press conferences, the squad out there, Jamal Bauman and all those other people, Cory Bush, going, we're going to put a vote on the floor. We want to vote on the floor to defund Israel completely. They didn't do it.
Dude,
They stayed silent. They said,
it's like that.
We are. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's that fucking Palpatine meme where it's like when they're in power, they're like, oh, we're too weak to do it, and then once they're out of office, it's like unlimited power. It's what they do. It's what they do every single time. Doesn't matter what the fucking issue is, they're gonna go with the party when they're in power. Like, period.
Ro Khanna is not a real outsider. He's not going to fight for anything worthy. In fact, he should be called out for his bullshit at times.
He's a slap bitch of Silicon Valley, man. That's it.
He is. Dave, take the last 67 seconds, put a bow on it, then go back to listening to our show and get some more coffee in you. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. You can see them by their works. You can see them by their doublespeak. Right now the big argument is quote unquote Muslim socialism versus American conservatism. However, red states are mostly not surviving without the excess taxpayer dollars generated by blue states, especially sanctuary city states.
Yeah.
So you've got a bunch of people that don't know how to define things using buzzwords. We have this new rush of McCarthyism, and just don't fall for it. I mean, their talking points are so ubiquitous and obvious at this point that they have to gaslight you. If you stand against, Trump, you're automatically a Democrat when you could be an anarchist or libertarian. And in the meantime, the transhumanist political party controls both sides and the modern libertarian party. So, people say we need a new party, but we need a new system. You can't just wash away the crimes by changing names. Nazis have done that multiple times, from Bolshevism to World War II to now in Israel. And they're, currently emigrating to America and Italy and flooding these places because ultimately their crimes come back to catch up to them. And we really don't want to be caught in the Patrick arc of that, because at this point, the world is pissed. The world is pissed on a level they haven't been pissed at in a very long time, since about Vietnam. When the whole rest of the world was ready to basically say and write off America because of our constant destruction of Vietnam and using it as a biolab. So I just advise people to point that out, to make people aware that red states are surviving through socialism, which is when the government takes the means of production and gives it to people that didn't earn it. And in this case, unfortunately, the red states are the pigs, but that's going to go back and forth and back and forth. ICE, even if it's dissolved, those people will be moved around, just like we've seen Bondi and No moved around into other organizations that are created to shield them. This is the way our government works, and it's why it doesn't work for the people. We need to demand a peaceful transfer of powers to everyone. Calling your congressperson isn't enough, okay? Showing up and calling them out for being traitors, that's about enough. I discovered a very nasty rabbit hole this week, which is the Palestinian skin bank of the Israelis. And I recommend it only to people with a high tolerance for evil. But it's truly gross what we're funding and supporting. America can't claim to be the good guys anymore. And anyone that tells you different is selling something. So, question everything, question everyone, and don't be afraid to look. Don't be afraid to take breaks when you need time to think, but don't be afraid to look, because that's what they're counting on. They're counting on you being scared and you being conditioned, and you got to break through that mold. Otherwise, we're all doomed.
Yeah. Dave, while you're here, I'm going to let you make a final statement on this here. Not to pick on my friend Anthony Imperial, because I do love him, but this is a false statement. Without Roe and Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, we'd had 0 Epstein's files released. We at least got some. Incrementalism is frustrating, yes, but would you rather have 0 if you can have fundamental change? And this is something that the Democrats say, what I talked about in the beginning of the show. These are the people that were left in charge of the party, the ones that were willing to say, all right, we're going to take the incrementalism but we got to go along because if we don't, Trump, if we don't go along with the establishment Democrat, the Republicans, no. This once again, when David pointed out that you need to attack the system as whole, you shouldn't be praising Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Roe for getting what was released. You should be going after those who are holding back the information that are getting released. They're the problem. You know, Roe and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey just put their face out there with this stuff. And let me tell you something. Ro Khanna was not calling for the Epstein files when Bill Clinton, when Hillary Clinton was running, because at that time, the Epstein files were more destructive to Hillary and Bill than they were to Donald Trump, the first administration. And you didn't hear Ro Khanna out front back then. He when it was politically beneficial to him, he was an opportunist, and he went out there and said something, not back in the days. 30 seconds, Dave, give your comment on that comment over there about Roe, Massey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene doing what they did over there.
All right, so right there, I mean, we've got Cory Booker, I believe Hakeem Jeffries in the Dialogue Peter Thiel list going back years. This is all for votes. What you just pointed out is 100% accurate. They just want the intentional fumbling of the football to go back to Democrats so they can play the blame game again. Now, are these people drawing attention to the fact that only half of 343 gigabytes has been released? Yes. Are they pointing out the entire 50 terabytes taken from the New York site alone? No, they're not. And the reason for that is, ironically, just like red states are being protected by blue states' extra tax money through socialism, is because that 50 terabytes, okay, which 99.2% remains unreleased, that's what's protecting the Clintons and the Bushes and the Reagans and probably Carter, too, because we know Epstein goes back to Iran-Contra affair, which had 142 indictments but didn't mention Epstein. So when they say things like 47 years, that's 47 years of Epstein-like agents arming Iran-Contras and doing the other stuff, evil stuff that we know about. So they're basically saying, oh, you want some more? While we, the people, beg just to have our appetites satiated. You know, it's their way of torturing us and teasing us at the same time. And it doesn't matter what you personally believe. It only matters what they believe when they're the ones that hold power. It doesn't even matter if it's real. It just matters if they're crazy enough to believe it and make policy based on it, just like funding Nazis in Ukraine, continuing to fund illegal transhumanist biolabs in Ukraine, and protecting the crazy weirdos here in America that run transhumanist NGOs on our taxpayer dime while wondering where all the missing people are going. The questions answer themselves once you look, but you have to be willing to look. They're not talking about the transhumanist party, and we are. We've proven this is real on this, you know, relatively small show, so why can't they mention it? They don't know what transhumanism is. They don't know Trump's a hypocrite for funding it against his own NSPM-7, which would actually indict him for treason for funding DARPA transhumanism? No, they absolutely know, but they're not playing along the same rules as us.
And with Trump specifically, so in 2016, there was a lot of rhetoric about like anti-globalism and all of this. But what ends up happening, like in a historical sense, is that the Conservative Party generally wins, but then concedes to globalism because they see no greater avenue for gaining power. So I think there was, not that Trump was genuine in 2016 with his beliefs, but that he understood that's where people were with their beliefs, and then got the election taken from him in 2020, and they said, hey, if you want to get back into power, you got to do what we want you to do. And he said, okay. And I think RFK Jr. is a great example of that, to where like literally his dad and uncle were fucking murdered by these people, and then turns around a couple decades later and he's literally bending the knee to them. You know, so it's the pursuit of power that leads these people to be as vapid and as basically opinionless drones as they've become.
Dave, thank you so much for calling in, brother. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, Pasta.
Always, brother. Always. Your voice is welcome here. Dave, go for it, everybody. Got about a half hour left, 31 minutes, guys. I'm live in Peru. I'm here with Andrew Zigman. This is Drive Time, of course, Sleepy J is there. We got a good crowd going. Got 30 people over on YouTube. We have how many people? 42 people over on Rumble. We're hitting about
And we
70
got another
people
call
right
coming
now.
in.
And we have another caller. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
It's Wesley from Claremont.
When Dave calls, just wait for Wesley. He's following it up. Go ahead.
All right. There's you guys. You're touching a lot of bases, but there was something that came up about on Candace's show the other day as to the Egyptian Airlines, which was like Duncan Air or whatever, was owned by, I forget the guy's name, Graff, this Mormon mafia
Robert
character
Kraft?
who apparently, yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. Didn't Epstein talk to Stacy Plaskett while she was deposing Michael Cohen about who's Rona Graff? Are they related? Is Rona, Trump's handler, related to the Mormon Mafia, Duncan Airlines, Egyptian flight, whatever that was involved in the assassination, or at least in the air during the assassination or right thereafter?
Dude, I don't know which way is up. If you're asking me, you're
I
asking
don't
the
know.
wrong person, man. I don't know
sorry.
who's connected to who nowadays and what's going on. So, you know, you said you're the person who's been spreading the rumor or spreading the truth about Erica
Well-
Kirk is Donald Trump's daughter, for crying out loud. And when you say those things, I honestly consider it. I'm like, wait a second. She was a beauty pageant
Well-
queen. He was the king of beauty pageants. Like, there might be something there.
Well, and the thing is, if you look back to when Epstein and Trump had their falling out, that was pretty much, I think, right around that period, like when Erica was born. But it was also when he lost control of the resort management properties or whatever that was a CIA front. And so, and then you look at the whole, Johnny Vedmore has done some good stuff about the other people that are involved in the Epstein organization. The one guy that owns all the different marinas that house the super yachts, the super yacht community, really, the Terra people, Terra Mar folks, anyways. And so there you have this group of super wealthy living in their yachts and doing things, and this other character, but this other person was involved heavily in Cuomo's election in New York. And so it goes back to the same, you keep running into election management and money from weird sources going, from foreign countries manipulating things. And honestly, I would think that there are certain people that are OPEC loyalists that would throw an election if Miriam wants Donald to win and Barack wants, if that group wants Trump in office, they'll put him in office because that's where their loyalties lie.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was going to say I agree with that. It literally, like, we don't have a choice. It comes down to whoever's running the machines at the time gets to pick who's the middle management, right? Like, the employees don't get to pick who their boss is.
Yeah.
Well, we don't exactly. We're given an option between people that they're willing to work with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's their people that we
And
get
I
to
think
choose from.
Obama's
It's
a
never.
great example of that, to where
Say that
like
again,
he came
Andrew?
in as an absolute outsider,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he gave them everything they wanted, and he's actually done interviews. I think it was the Nelson Mandela Day thing in South Africa in like 2015 or 16, where Obama talks about how there's a new global aristocracy and how they allowed him to participate in it, even though he was someone that was completely like almost foreign to those mechanisms. And so
I
it's
question whether he was
yeah,
foreign to it. I almost think he's named Barack in honor of the Ahud Barak family, the Barack Cohen family, because that's, even, and they talk about Hollywood being run by the Jews or whatever. If you look at the whole, I like Control Alt History, he's a good guy, but they talk about how Priscilla Presley and and Elvis got married. It's funny that in the whatever the Jailhouse Rock song, he says he's backed by the Purple Gang. He says it in the song that he's backed by the Jews. Like, that's not that that's a bad thing, but a Jewish mob organization. I'm backed by those guys.
Yeah.
Says Elvis in the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And obviously, too, as well, you know what I'm saying? The Zionism, right? That's something that in Hollywood that Marlon Brando, there's a video of Marlon Brando talking about the Zionists and their control in Hollywood. So, yeah, I hear you. And if we talk about
powerful
Barack
people have been
Obama,
destroyed by bringing it up.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? Barack Obama, a lot like Donald Trump. Donald Trump was Roy Cohen or Roy Kahn was his mentor. You know, he was running in these circles for years, and now all of a sudden he's here. So, I mean, how can we not just look at his history and know what he's all about? And a lot of people talk about Obama's family and the CIA. You know, his stepfather was suspected of being a CIA-backed agent in Indonesia. So, I mean, it's like you just look at these people who they are, and it really doesn't make it. You don't have to scratch too much of your head and go, "Wow, that's kind of interesting." I mean, it's you have to correlate the two to say that these people, AOCIA, they came in with an agenda. You know, go ahead, buddy.
Well, so if you look at Lutnick, right? He runs Cantor Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Well, Cantor Fitzgerald, I'm not certain about this, but wasn't John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, like John F. Kennedy's mom, wasn't her maiden name Fitzgerald? Like, those are their cousins. It's still a family organization. You just got to look back a couple generations and be like, oh, there's that name. And the Walker name too, like George Walker Bush and Joseph Walker Barr and the guy that owned Epstein Island before Epstein, Arch Walker Cumming. Like, why do all these people have Walker in their name? I'm almost thinking that talking about public disclosure, if you look at the Kingsmen, they were saying how the whiskey organization was like the Secret Service in America or whatever. And maybe they are. Maybe the RFK was running cover for, they'd bust the competition, but their whiskey would still get sold.
Interesting. And we know what Daddy JFK, right? What he did. There's a Frank Castellano, who was one of the known as the four, right? He was one of the four horsemen, I guess you can call them back in the days. There was Lucky Luciano, Frank Castellano, and then the two Jewish guys, right? Bugsy Siegel, and the guy who was supposedly the head of the snake, right? Meyer Lansky, who never spent a day in prison. That was his whole claim to fame. Also armed the Mossad and the Israeli, the Zionist entities, controlled the docks too as well. There was a lot of guns and weapons that were supposed to go to Egypt that ended up falling off the boat, never made it there, right? So they talk about these things. Frank Castellano had a relationship and talked about he felt shunned by JFK's father at one point. So, I mean, these things, it seems like everybody's connected in one way or the other, and you hear these these names out there and you connect the dots. That's interesting that Walker name, right? It just keeps kind of, the Fitzgerald name, it keeps resurfacing here and there. I'm going to give you, Wesley, the last 30 seconds to put a bow on things, and then we're going to move on and see if we can grab a few more callers. But thanks for calling in and participating. I love the way that you always usually follow from Dave's phone call. And we have the true conspiracy theorist out here, or truthers, whatever you want to call them, but it's always interesting to hear you guys. Go ahead, buddy.
The nuclear stuff for Saudi Arabia. Trump even gave stuff to Saudi Arabia before he left his first term that should have got him in jail, but didn't, and should have kept him from being reelected because he leaked sensitive information to Saudi Arabia for nuclear technology. But then you look at what happened with between ABS, Miriam Adelson, and al-Waladi, Assad, who like was the other owner in the hotel chains with her, and then he, then they had the shooting in the Vegas massacre. The helicopters, the Bluebird helicopters, leave. No one figures out where they went, and then you have these, then you have the F-15 rescue in Iran from the downed F-15 pilot and the next day during that same press conference, Trump starts talking about how, snipers were shooting girls right between the eyes. And then the next day he's got kids in the Oval Office and he repeats the same thing. He's talking to like 6-year-olds. It's like they were shooting women right between the eyes. I think he had just been debriefed and saw the videos from the people that were rescued during that mission. And they were terrorists. They were trying to instigate an uprising of the people against the Iranian population, but they were, terrorist insurgents. And then they were escaping. The Saudis went in, crashed their plane trying to rescue them, and then the U.S. had to fly in with helicopters to get them. And then they blew up 2 Bluebird helicopters in that other plane and got the hell out of there with the assassins, the terrorist assassins from Saudi Arabia. And, Trump also got the sword dance welcoming when he went into Saudi Arabia. There's all sorts of totally dirty going on here. And, and the torture video, I think that was one of the other Saudi guys getting tortured was the torture video that was mentioned in the Epstein files, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway,
well, you could
that's
be
what
wrong,
it looks like
but,
to me.
I don't know if it was Saudi Arabia. I know who you're talking about. I don't know if that was Saudi or one of the other Gulf countries, but I know what you're talking about. That shit's fucked up.
But look, we're talking about this whole thing. I mentioned so many times before. Why was MBS's a painting of MBS on Epstein's wall?
Oh man, all them Gulf monarchies are gross and crooked as fuck, man.
I mean, yeah, it's terrible. They're the most anti-American type of mentality out there, and yet all the Trumpers are endorsing them. Go ahead, Wesley.
Here's the other thing. If you look on Diddy's P. Diddy's back or whatever, he's got the woman and child and the black woman and child, and then you look at next to Tucker Carlson and there's the Lady of Fatima poster next to him in his podcast. And then they, all the presidents and all these people showed up at the re-inauguration of of Notre Dame. That's Fatima is Muhammad's favorite wife, and so they're basically like giving homage to what is the royal family of Saudi Arabia. And that's part of what's going on, that they're doing it right in front of people, and people aren't even catching their little clips, their little eggs.
All right, so just for the caller, I put the comment up already, but it was the Emirati prince or something was in the Epstein file torture thing. It was an Emirati.
The Emirati prince?
Which torture video? What did they do? Who did they torture? What's going on? So just we provide some context for the audience.
I haven't seen the video, but
who are they suspecting was torturing who?
It was somebody in the Emirati royal family, if I recall.
Was torturing someone or getting tortured?
Carlton?
Torturing someone, or was sent a video, or was sending Epstein videos about it, something to that effect.
Who were they torturing?
I don't remember the details, but I saw something about it a while back.
Yeah, no, this was during when they had people locked up at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, imprisoned in there, as when
Saudi Arabia
ABS took power.
MBS.
Yeah.
I remember that because he had a bunch of other. Because once again, he was a cousin. He wasn't the rightful heir to the throne, but Jared Kushner endorsed him and whatnot. And, this is the whole Saudi Aramco thing that was supposed to go through, and then MBS took power. That's why I'm saying, like, MBS's painting on his wall is interesting because MBS wasn't in line, and a lot of the other, I don't know, this they used this because a lot of the other people, who was the person that was supposed to be in the
I
Crown
think that
Royal
was
Prince?
Walidi or whatever. The other guy was the other
Langley
main
trained
player who
right.
What's that?
He was Langley trained.
and he has the board of on a school in Syracuse for immigration or whatever. He's on, for the Muslim population. And so there's a lot of weird things, but he's the Walidi guy, Al-Walidi. He also bought Trump's yacht Trump had bought the yacht from Khashoggi, and then Trump got in trouble financially, and Al-Walidi bought that yacht off Trump to ship him whatever, $80 million. So there's, you look at the chips and the tokens being handed back and forth. These are the players in the game. If you got chips, they're in the game.
And how much money has the Saudi family given Trump and everything else right now? It's just he was being open about Qatar. Was it Qatar building him a jet or something?
They gave him a jet.
I'm like, well, you're being open about this bribery in front of you now, and they were saying something like the Saudis put how many billions in Donald Trump's account, and now you got one of the Trump children, the heirs, leaking or giving information about nuclear weapons and the nuclear program backdoor to the Saudis.
You can't tell me that jet ain't bugged as shit.
Well, they also gave a bunch of money to Jared Kushner for the building, the 666 building downtown New York. Millions of dollars.
Yeah, they've been enriching his pockets for quite some time.
And now there's some dirty players, and how do you get pardoned from your crime and like Jared Kushner's dad, and then made the ambassador to France? That just shows you dirty.
It was dirty what Jared Kushner's father was doing, who he was blackmailing too as well. It was kind of, if you look into that whole situation, it's a little crazy.
Trying to blackmail his brother because his brother illegally took money from the company and financed Hillary Clinton's campaign in the Senate after John Kennedy was assassinated. Or died mysteriously in a plane crash.
Wesley, thank you so much for calling in, brother. We appreciate you being part of this movement that we have moving forward. So we're going to say screw all these assholes, these transhumanists, these elitists, these globalists, they're stenographers. We're going to do our own thing, have our own conversations. We're going to talk about what needs to be talked about, not what they want us to talk about. I appreciate you, Wesley. Thank you for calling in.
I'm glad you talk about it. Take care.
We do. You got it. Got to be a way, Andrew. We got to spoon feed the normies to get involved over here to understand what's going on. If there's anything you should take from Dave from Melbourne and from Wesley when they call in, because I know it's advanced PSYOP 101. It's not PSYOP 101. It's like the third year, fourth year of class. It might be a senior class. But if there's anything we should take from it, for my normie friends out there, is that they have to understand that the people who appear to be elected officials running shit are not in charge. They're working for all the same ruling class. These guys have a way of connecting the dots to show you, plain and simple, that it's not by chance. It's not like Obama was an outsider, right? Like they pitched him as an outsider. They pitched Trump as an outsider, but they're insiders, and they're there to do a job and get the job done.
Yeah, that's the horrifying part too, is that they're presented in such a way. Like, I remember AOC the most because that was the one that, I remember working with Nico and working with Virginia, AOC's campaign manager, literally directly feeding AOC the words that she would then turn around and say on CNN. And as soon as she got elected, all of those words changed. As soon as she won that primary, she was an entirely different person.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it coming too, because I went down there and I went to the campaign. I was actually in New York. We were burying my stepfather, and I was still new to the game. It was a long time ago, and I actually took the Long Island Railroad 2 hours into town to go to a campaign event she had going on in the Bronx. They had good pizza that day. They shared with everybody. It was pretty awesome. But it was so organized. And they had they were taking the people who spoke different language, like the Spanish speaking people come over here. The people who speak, I think it was Hindi, maybe, or whatnot, or, Arabic, whatnot. They were separating them and you're going to go in this area, you're going to go in that area. It was so organized and well. But the one person, I can't remember her name, she was down there. She was, one of the organizers. She was working. It was great. I was like, this is awesome the way they have their shit together. Well, on election night that she won, Lawrence Steiner, an older old school journalist happened to walk in and catch that same person standing and complaining about what was going on. This is right on election night, and she was exposing what was happening. And all these establishment characters were down there taking control of her campaign, pushing out the real grassroots people. And we had red flags right off the jump. We're like, something's going on. This person was running stuff. Now they're complaining the way AOC is distancing herself from the grassroots people that got her into office. So we knew right there was a red flag right away that this was a controlled operation. This was narrative management. And we had our questions about AOCIA. And sure enough, look what she does today. Go ahead, Andrew.
And you see people like Abdul al-Said up in Michigan that are like relics of that era that literally like betrayed everyone in the progressive movement to like worship at the feet of Gretchen Whitmer, now being put into positions where they're allowed to run for office again and are probably going to win their elections.
Yeah.
So it's just gross, you know, like the passage of time just reveals how disgusting these people really are.
Yeah. You have, dude, you have him in Michigan.
History don't repeat, but it sure as fuck rhymes.
It does. Yeah, you have the same type of people. Now, like I said, the establishment also rewards their people for a job well done. So Saeed did what the establishment needed him to do. And you know, at the knees of Gretchen Whitmer. And like that whole situation is just ridiculous, you know. The whole kidnapping operation is like there was more feds involved than there were actual people in the kidnapping play. It's like,
and
wait a second.
I get banned. Like the last time I got banned from Twitter was because I was commenting on the Michigan governor, like all of her tweets about her kidnapping herself.
Yeah.
And I got banned from Twitter for like 2 weeks for it because I was bringing up that piece of history again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not convenient, Andrew.
Yeah. No, not at all, Andrew. Dude, like, look, I had a source in Tehran, and I put out a tweet, and it got close to 750,000 likes or views. Excuse me, not likes. 750,000 views, but it was right in the beginning of the operations in Iran, and America was trying to say that they only had like 10 to 12 soldiers killed when the Iranians hit all those bases with drones. And I just pretty much said that my source in Iran has said that Iranian media is saying close to 200, 300 U.S. personnel have been killed or injured. And that tweet went viral. And then shortly 2 weeks later, my Twitter was hijacked, taken down, and I haven't been able to use it since, right? So for those of us out there who are pointing out what's going on, you know, like I said, Xavier Becerra, Barrera or Becerra, fucking how you, Xavier, the guy who's going to be the governor of California. He was the HHS secretary under Joe Biden. The HHS secretary decides how the money is spent through COVID. In other words, they allotted all this money. It was Xavier Becerra who was the one who decides who gets that money and how they get it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He's the one who doled it out. And now he's being rewarded for a job well done. Hey, way to go. Way to enrich all our friends and the millionaires and the billionaires while we used the people as lab rats. You did a good job. So now we're going to reward you even more, and we're going to give you California. And the election system in California is so out of whack, guys. They can cheat that thing 16 ways till Tuesday. And they had a bunch of progressives that went along with the establishment narrative that if you said the elections are false, you're a QAnon psyoper. And I'm telling you from a straight up just operational perspective of a person who understands elections that, yeah, okay, we can't prove that the election was rigged because it's proprietary software and they don't let us look under the hood. We can't look. How can you tell how the car is busted if you can't open up the hood and look at the pieces? If you have to listen to just the way it sounds and you have to make an assessment, you can't do that. So you can not only prove that it was fake, but you can't even prove that it was real. Well, and they can give you any results they want. Go ahead.
To me, that's what shows that it's rigged, right? Like you even have somebody like Jill Stein who sued Pennsylvania to the point that for their local and state elections, they were having to switch back to hand-counted paper ballots. And then all of a sudden, coronavirus happened and all of the progress that got made on that front got completely wiped out. And now they do the mail-in voting. You know what I mean? So it's not even just the fractional voting machines that they can do. If they still aren't happy with the results, they'll literally just be like, okay, well, here's, 35 million votes at 2 o'clock in the morning that says like this guy lost. Like, good luck.
Well, that's the thing. We can't even look at the software to like, it's clearly rigged. Like, if you can't look at the software that is tabulating these fucking votes, you have no transparency. Period. We don't have fair elections.
And
Either
I
way,
remember-
And the thing is, too, as well, it's not even just the tabulation. There's 90 different ways till Tuesday. They're not even using the software now because they know have a lot of people eyes on it. With mail-in balloting and everybody in the California who's on the voter rolls, because the state controls the voter rolls, everybody on those voter rolls must get a mail-in ballot. So with that, and you combine that with ballot harvesting, where one individual can take as many ballots in as they want, you now have a system which is called clustering, where you can it's ballot stuffing. And now you can change elections that way. And in California, you have early voting and times after almost like 27 days after the election day to count the votes. You have a window of 2 months, and there's no way to control. There's no transparency. There's no chain of custody on the ballots that are printed. And I've said this before. Now you don't need people to steal an election. You just need ballots, and you can manufacture ballots every single which way till Tuesday.
people need to ask themselves, like, if chain of custody is broken and with evidence in like a court case, that evidence is no longer evidence. It's thrown out. Yeah. Why the fuck are we allowing our election systems to not have a fucking chain of custody? That's a problem. That's probably the major problem, in my opinion.
I remember back when Tim Canova was running for office against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and he literally hunted down trucks full of ballots being shipped into Broward County election office.
I remember that shit.
And literally that would have been a key moment for Donald Trump to just fucking slaughter the Democrats because of how powerful Debbie Wasserman Schultz was. And Tim Canova came out and literally said, like, I'm pretty sure there's just a black market where you can just go and buy an election.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even think it's necessarily a black market. I think you take these people's money and then you pay the media companies that would otherwise report on election fraud to run ads for you, right? Like when you turn on your local news station and it's all political advertising, they have a vested interest in making sure the next time around, they still get that $30 million to run those ad campaigns for those people. So they're the ones that are literally being bought and paid for to remain silent while everyone else, you know, creeps around, puts in all these extra ballots, fractionalizes the voting systems. And so like that was the point where I realized, like, there's no way to vote out of this, that there's no solution where we can, you know, check a box once a year and solve these problems.
And it's not getting any better. This is how we know that Donald Trump is not really genuine in getting good elections. He's talking about voter ID. It's only going to do so much, right? If he was serious about fixing elections, the first thing, any elected official, it was serious about fixing elections, the first thing they would do is call for a repeal or an abolishment of the HAVA Act, the Help America Vote Act, which was also passed during the George W. Bush administration, which brought in billions and trillions of dollars for states to use the preferred companies and methods to go along. So it's how do you not take that money on top of, you get all this money to use these systems. And if you use these systems, all these systems are pretty much privatized and also proprietary, so you can't even look under the hood. Andrew is precisely right, just like Pfizer ads. If they all take the ads, they ain't going to question the warp speed narrative. Let everybody know where they can find you, Andrew. We are out of here for the day. So definitely.
You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman, and then here on Fridays.
There you go, brother. I love you, brother. Let's get together soon. And when I get back to the stateside, we got to find a way to meet up. I need to feel that fluffy beard in my hands. I can't just look at it anymore, brother. I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thank you, man.
All right.
Let's
By
see
the
if
way,
we
I
can
just want
get
to
some.
put this comment up from Fred earlier. He goes, I thought that WAP stood for without pasta because they couldn't make any noodles on the ships. I don't know about that, buddy. Oh, somebody put this way. Row, row, row.
Yeah,
row.
I put it up earlier.
I
thought I put that one up. It's good, though.
And it says, true, our supposed heroes are from family dynasties or handpicked CIA ops. And the last comment, pasta makes me get up at 5 a.m. California time for the show. At least you folks can do is hit the thumbs up button. LOL. We love you. Thank you, Tara, Preta, Wild. And any way you want to help out the show, the links are in the description. You can help out the show and be a supporter. But if you ain't got no money to give, likes and shares are just as appreciated here at the Drive Time Show. Sleepy.
Oh.
Always appreciated. Sleepy, thank you for holding it down. I'm sorry I missed yesterday and made everybody get up.
All good. I was able to get some extra sleep, which I was not complaining about.
Well, you mentioned that I needed to get sleep, and I did get sleep, and it was from recovering from the night before of having too much fun. I just needed to let go and let loose. Everything's been so crazy. I didn't want to come out here this time because I got so much going on with my family, but I wasn't going to miss this particular wedding and not support my friend out here. You all know who it is, but I'm not going to say it because I'll get in trouble. But yeah, I'm going to take accountability because I want to make sure that we grow the show. And it's all of us that are included. You guys showing up today, 30 people on YouTube, 38 people on Rumble. We've had around 70 people watching live the whole time today, and that's great because when we started the show, we were around the 12s, the teens, and the 20s, and now slowly by slowly, we're going to continue to grow this, and we're going to make sure that our voices can be heard, and we're going to control the narrative. We're not going to let the narrative control us. Let's get to the final monologue of the day.
Of the week.
When it's ready to go.
It's ready. Music's been going, buddy.
All right. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. I want to thank Miguel Santiago, Katie from North Georgia. That was the other day. Today it was Sadhu, and Dave and Wesley who called on in. I appreciate you all. I want to thank Fred Edward, Gabrielle Freedom in the chats, our producers for holding it down, all the people who've been around for so long. It really is truly enlightening to see some of you guys coming around. It was great when I heard Stacy the other day telling me that she'd been listening to me for years, and just to put the voice with a name that I see on the screen for so long. What's up, Hemkar? I want to thank you all for listening in and watching in and sharing the show. That's it for today. We'll see you on Monday. There will be a show on Monday because I'm flying out on Tuesday. Tuesday, there'll be no show. But Monday, there will be a show. So we'll be back on Monday. I love you all. Until then, keep that dialogue flowing. And remember, I love you. And peace.